Hello, this is Miss Lumley, and welcome to the quiz review that will go over evaluating logs and completing inverses. So our first problems here are number 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to evaluate the log. Okay. Now, here for one thing that we need to talk about is the fact that if you are uncomfortable evaluating the log the way it looks right here, you can always convert that log. You could actually make this an x right here, and if you want to just take this 33, the base number, and convert it back to an exponential, so we could go 33 to the x equals this 33 right here, right? Because that's the one that comes out. And obviously, if 33 to the x equals 33, then x has to equal 1. So x has to equal 1, okay? So let me do it one more time for number 2. So if we do 4 to the, and if I just make this an x and I go x equals 64, then I can see it. These are the problems you're going to have to do without a calculator. So it's in some way you got to figure out what the answer is, and all the problems will be easy to figure out. So again, if I go 4 to what number will give me 64, the answer is going to be x equals 3. Okay, let's do it again with number 3. So I'm going to make this an x. You don't have to do it this way, but for some reason, for some people, this actually does help a little bit. So we go 7 to the x equals 1, and so every single number that equals 1, their exponent, the exponent is always going to be 0. Anything to the 0 equals 1. So your answer has to be 0. Okay? All right, let's try the next one. We're going to go to number 4. All right, so this one's a weird one because it's kind of like a trick question because the two bases, this is the base of the exponent and this is the base of the, this is the base of the log and this is the base of the exponent. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go ahead and convert it, and I'm going to say this is what I want right here. Okay, so let's do 6 to the something that I want equals 6 to the 5x. Okay, the reason why I just used the box is because I already had an x and I didn't want to confuse you. So what needs to go in here? Well, that is your 5x. Okay, so the answer is 5x. Okay, again, it's kind of a trick question because the property says that if there is a base of the log that is the same number as the base of this exponent, the answer is going to be whatever this exponent is. Okay, so the answer is 5x. All right, let's do it again. This time, it's the same kind of question where we're using the property of a log. ln actually stands for LE. So I'm going to go ahead and write it LE so that you can see it. And again, I have two bases that are the same. So if I have two bases that are the same, the answer is actually whatever in this exponent because basically they're canceling each other out. And so the answer is 11. If I wanted to do that where I actually convert it to a log, I would take this e right here, e to what gives me e to the 11. So it's obvious this answer has to be 11. Okay, so now let's do it one more time. Let's go find what number 6 would be. So I'm going to convert it. So again, I'm going to use the x since I'm not using x anymore. Let's go ahead and use that. So 3 to the x equals 1/9. Now, the way I do this is I go, well, 3 squared equals 9. So I know x has to be a 2 of some kind. But in order to make that 9 a fraction, this exponent has to be a negative. So the answer is -2. Okay? Now, that's all that's on this quiz. Just the different types of questions that ask you to evaluate. And they're going to look like this. The x won't be there, but they will all look like this, and you'll have to evaluate them. And remember, it's without a calculator. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, number 7. Number 7 is where we have to convert these to the inverse equation. If this is a log, the inverse should be the exponential. So I should be taking this equation and making it an exponential. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the x and the y because that's how an inverse works, right? So first we're going to do the switch. Now we're going to do the convert. I'm going to convert this to a exponential. Okay, so we're going from a log to an exponent. So I look for the base. The base is 4. Okay, so I'm going to use this equation right here actually. So I'm going to go 4 to the x is my next thing equals, so I've got x and then equals y plus 5. To finish this off, all I have to do is I have to subtract the 5 over. I'm going to write it y equals 4 to the x, and I'm going to subtract the 5 over, so it's going to be minus 5. Okay, this right here is your final answer. So if you start with a log, you make sure, if you start with a log, make sure that you're now an exponent. Okay, so let's do it again. We're going to do the switch first. So the switch is going to be x because the y changes to x and the x changes to y. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to do the convert. So here's the convert. Now since I started with an exponent, I should be converting to a log. So I'm going from an exponent to a log now. I need to solve for y, so I'm going to go log. The base is 3. The x is the next number, so the base starts. The x goes back on the inside. The exponent goes on the outside. And then all I have to do is subtract that 7 over. So I'm going to go log base 3 of x minus 7, which is not part, the x is the only part that's in the log. Okay, so that's your final answer for doing inverses. Okay, they will be exactly like this on the quiz. Switch, convert, final answer. Okay, let's go to the next item on the quiz. Okay, this will seem like a trick question. It's actually super easy, but I will tell you this. Do this x, okay? And you're going to convert, but the first thing you're going to do is you want to make sure that you write in your bases. See, when a log does not have a number on it, you have to assume it's base 10, okay? Because anyone that is looking at a log without a base is going to know that it is already defined as base 10. So what you need to do to remember that for the quiz, I think you should actually put 10, 10, 10 all the way down, okay? So, and then I think you should put X's in here, and I'm going to change the color so that you can see this. So now I'm going to convert it. So I'm using this 10 here and this x because this is the exponent. So we're going to go 10 to the x equals 10 to the 6. Now the question for number 9 is, does this equal 6? And I can see x does equal 6. So yes, this one equals 6. I'm looking for which one does not equal 6. So let's go again, okay? So I'm going to do the 10 to the x. 10 to the x equals 100 to the 6th, okay? That doesn't make any sense, okay? Let me do it again. X equals, let's change this 100 to 10 squared so that the bases are the same, and now I get x equals 2 times 6 is 12. No, this is not equal x. But I need to keep going just to make sure I've checked them all. So I checked this one and I've checked this one, okay? Let's do it again. So I'm going to go 10 to the x. I'm switching it to an exponential, and I'm switching this 1,000 squared, okay? Basically, 10 to the x equals 1,000 is really 10 cubed. The bases can be crossed out, and I get x equals 3 times 2 is 6. Yes, this is 6. Okay, let's do it one more time. I'm going to go ahead and just draw lines in between these so you can see my different ways that I've shown the work for each one of these. Okay, that one's done. Let's do it one more time. So we've got 10 to the x. Remember, 10 is the base, x is the exponent, and 100 to the third. If I write that out, I'm going to take that 100 and I'm going to make that 10 squared. And then I will have, let's see here. I will have, take those bases. I don't need to look at those bases. I can just write out x equals, and 2 times 3 is 6. Yes. So basically, this one right here was the one that was a no. So I checked the last one, and I also found that it was the second one that was not equal to it. Okay? And yes, this is going to be on the quiz. Watch out for these. I would check each one individually just to make sure using the same method that we used here. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Our last couple of problems are the ones that use stat, okay? And this time we're going to use this power regression. So you're going to go to the stat button on your calculator. You're going to go to edit, okay? And you're going to enter all of your values, all right? The L1 values, you're going to enter your X values. In the L2 list, you're going to enter your Y values. Once you do that, you're going to you're going to go back to the stat button. Okay. You're going to go to calculate. And this time, since we want a power regression, you're going to pick PWR REG. Now, once you do that, press enter, and you should get an A and a B and a formula that says A X to the B. Okay, so when we do that, for our power regression, we get 2 point, it says to round it to 3 decimal places, so 2.001 and 2.298. So the equation is going to be 2.001. Just write this out exactly like I'm writing it here. This is your x, and your exponent is 2.298. If you just write the A and B, then you haven't really provided the actual equation. You need to write out the actual equation, and that's your answer. Okay, let's try number 11. Okay, number 11 is an exponential, and so here's our y equals ab to the x. Okay, I'm going to put all of these values into stat, so I'm going to go stat and edit again. Okay, and then after I do stat edit and I put all those values into L1 and L2, I'm going to go back to stat, and this time I'm going to go to calculate, and I'm going to go over, and it says, let's see here, it basically, this problem wants you to do an exponential reg. Remember, reg stands for regression. It's going to tell us what the actual equation is. Okay, I'm going to write out here that A equals, let's see, A equals 171, we're going to round to 3 decimal places, 0.462, and B equals 0.988. The calculator also gives us the actual equation. So the equation is going to be 171.462 times B, 0.988, to the x. Okay, so this is my answer. Okay, if you do not provide this answer, then it will not be counted as correct because you can't just put in this. Okay, all right, now what we're going to do is we're going to try plugging in some of this information to find out how to calculate it. Okay, so if I plug in a number, like let's say 12 right here, then I should find a number somewhere in here. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. So we're going to use both equations that we got from the last 2 problems. All right, we're going to plug in 12 to each one. The reason why we're doing this is that some people forget to use PEMDAS and they end up multiplying the number in front first, but exponents should be first. So we're going to take and put this 2.001 times 12 to the 2.298. So if we put that in the calculator and we go 12 to the 2.298, okay, so I'm going to do this calculation first in my calculator, 12 to the 2.298, and then after I get that, I'll press enter after that, and then I'll multiply times 2.001, and then you'll get 604.235. Okay, and that's your answer. But you have to make sure that you do this 12 to the exponent first, and then you multiply times the 2.001. Okay? All right, so let's do it again. Now that was for the first one, which was a power reg, because the x is not in the exponent. Once the x is in the exponent, it's an exponential reg. Okay, so let's do oops, go back. I thought I wanted to move my image here. Okay, so let's do 171.462 times 0.988 to the 12th. I'm going to change colors so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm going to go 0.988 to the 12th first. Exponents first because that's what PEMDAS tells us to do. And once I get that, I can immediately multiply that answer times 171.462. Okay? And then I will get 148.338. I'm rounding to 3 decimal places, okay? And that's my answer. This is very important because people do forget to do the exponent first and then multiply. Do the exponent first and then multiply that answer times the first number that's being multiplied. All right? Well, that's it for this quiz review. I hope this helps. And thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions.